Hello and welcome into your SportsDesk pregame report. Alongside Larry O'Connor, I'm Vince Coll, and we're here at Michie Stadium in West Point, New York, where today Temple will be taking on Army. Army comes into this game 5-2 on the year as opposed to Temple's 3-4 record. And today for Temple, the last non-conference matchup of the season. So 4 conference games after this one from here on out. But before we get into today's matchup, we want to take a flashback to last year. If you remember, nothing as the team expected, especially in the season opener versus Army in that 28-13 loss last season.
Definitely, Vince. Coming off a 10-win season, a lot of confidence, and they were shut down on both sides of the football against Army. This Army rushing attack went off. Safe to say, they went off. Ahmad Bradshaw, who we'll see today, had a huge game. Now let's take a flashback to last year's post-game report.
Temple's front seven absolutely did not show up tonight. 329 rushing yards. 329 rushing yards to 7 ball carriers. If you ever let up over 300 yards rushing, you don't deserve to win the game. It was definitely a little bit hard to watch up in the press box, and Temple did not deserve to win the game tonight against Army. And now moving on to today's game, you know, this Army team is still the same old Army team. They're going to be looking to pound the ball. They're coming off of a game last game where they rushed for 413 yards, and that was all of their total yards. They had 0 pass completions, 0 passing yards, obviously, if you don't complete the passes. But in a 28-27 win over Eastern Michigan, so they're going to be juiced up, you know, coming into this game. It was on this field just last week. But as you know, the Temple front seven today, we talk about them all the time. They're going to really need to be at their best, you know, going against this triple option attack.
Yeah, Vince, when you look at this Army offense, look no further than this stat. They're the #2 rushing offense in the entire nation. And today they're going to look to move the ball down the field, keep the time of possession in their favor. They're kind of an old school offense, and they like to run the ball, but they're definitely different in their triple option. It's going to be a tough matchup for Sean Bradley and Chappelle Russell. Sean Bradley's coming in here a little different, wearing the #1. He's going to be confident, but it's going to be a big matchup for the secondary too, coming up and making plays, but they cannot fall asleep in the back end, because Army will take a shot through the air if they have to.
Yeah, and Army's going to look to control that time of possession. But if you want to move over now to Temple's offense, definitely been streaky to say the least. You talk about you know, the #7 pass offense in the American Athletic Conference with, you know, averaging over 250 yards per game. You look at the rush offense, 11 out of 12th in the conference, averaging just over 100 yards per game. So, you know, they've been up and down. You know, tell me a little bit about this Army defense. If you're calling the plays today, how are you going about, you know, moving the ball against this Army defense?
Vince, if you're this Temple offense today, you're going to look to put points on the board early. You saw last year against Navy in the AAC championship game. They got up early, 21-0 in the first half, and he forced these teams that like to run the ball into obvious passing situations, and they're going to get a little rusty. But they're going to look to run. Temple's going to want to run the ball a lot too, as well. Don't get me wrong. Raquel Armstead should have a big day today. David Hood as well. They're going to look to move the ball down the field. Marchie should have some open wide receivers. Look for a big day from Keith Kirkwood, Ventel Bryant. Yeah. And you got to get up early if you want to beat this Army offense. Yeah, so definitely controlling the ball early for this offense, you know, taking the ball out of their hands, because Army's going to want to get the ball, hold that clock, you know, to do what they can, you know, just like last week, getting that win. And they're 5-2 on the season, so, I mean, you know, they've been doing it all year. But, you know, that's it for your SportsDesk pregame report. You know, make sure to follow at @TU_SportsDesk, you know, for all your coverage throughout the game. But, you know, we'll have you covered there. But for Larry O'Connor, I'm Vince Coll. We'll see you during game time.